At 13, my dad hit me so hard I woke up in the hospital alone. Mom said, "You made us look bad." My dad disowned me and sent me to boarding school to protect their image. Years later, their world fell apart and they finally understood. What they'd done, I didn't feel the pain at first. Just a loud metallic ringing that swallowed the sound of my mother screaming. Then the floor hit me. My dad was standing over me, his face a distorted mask of rage. He didn't look like my father. He looked like a monster that had finally slipped its leash. "You think you can embarrass me?" he roared. "In front of the partners? You're a stain on this family, Elias." The last thing I saw was his polished black Oxford shoe. Then total darkness. I woke up 3 days later in a sterile hospital room. The light was blinding. My jaw was wired shut and my ribs felt like they had been replaced with jagged glass. I looked at the door, waiting for my mom to run in, crying, telling me it was okay. She didn't. When she finally walked in, she didn't touch me. She stood at the foot of the bed, crossing her arms over her designer coat. She looked disgusted. "The social worker is asking questions." "Elias," she whispered, her voice cold and sharp. "Do you have any idea what this is doing to your father's reputation? You made us look like animals. You made us look bad." I tried to speak through the wires. I wanted to ask why Dad wasn't there. "He's done with you," she said, checking her watch. "He's disowned you. Your bags are already packed at the house. As soon as you're cleared to travel, you're going to a boarding school in northern Maine? Don't call us. Don't write. We need to fix the mess you made." That was the day Elias died. The next 10 years were a blur of cold winters and silence. I became a ghost. I didn't get care packages. I didn't get happy birthday texts. I survived on spite. Spite is a hell of a fuel. It kept me warm when the dorms were freezing. It kept me focused when I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college. I stopped using their last name. I became a man built out of the scrap metal they discarded. By 26, I was a senior analyst at a firm they could only dream of being invited to. I was wealthy, I was fit, and I was utterly hollow. Then the email came. "Elias, it's Mom. Please, we need to talk." "Your father. Things have happened." "We're at the old house." I didn't reply. I just showed up. I pulled into the driveway of the estate in a car that cost more than their mortgage. The lawn was overgrown. The paint was peeling. The image they sacrificed me for was rotting. I walked inside without knocking. My father was sitting in his armchair. He looked like a skeleton draped in cheap skin. He'd had a stroke, and the legal battles over his firm had bled them dry. My mother was hovering nearby, looking decades older, her hands shaking. "Elias?" she gasped, reaching out. You look so much like him." "Don't," I said. The word was a razor. My father looked up at me, his eyes watering. "Son," he croaked, I lost everything. They took the firm. They took the house. I was wrong. I see it now. We're a family. We need you." I looked at the spot on the floor where I had bled at 13. I could still see the phantom stain. "You didn't lose everything when the firm closed." "Dad," I said, my voice eerily calm, "you lost everything the second you decided a reputation was worth more than your son's life." "We were trying to protect a family name," my mother cried. "We did it for you too." I laughed. It was a short, jagged sound. "I don't have a family name," I said. "I changed it the day I turned 18. To you, I'm a stranger, and to me, you're just the people who paid for my education to keep me quiet." I pulled a legal folder out of my bag and tossed it on the coffee table. "What is this?" my father asked, his hand trembling as he reached for it. "The foreclosure notice," I replied. "I bought your debt 6 months ago. I'm the new owner of this house, and I'm not here to save you." The silence in the room was suffocating. My mother started to sob, the ugly, desperate sound of someone realizing the bridge they burned was the only way home. "You have 24 hours to pack," I said, turning toward the door. "I'm tearing this place down. I want to see the ground where you hit me turned into a parking lot." "Elias, please," my mother wailed. "Where will we go? We have nothing." I stopped at the door and looked back over my shoulder, mimicking the exact cold expression she gave me in that hospital bed. "I don't know, Mom," I said, "but you should probably hurry. You're starting to make the neighborhood look bad." I walked out, and for the first time in 13 years, the ringing in my ears finally stopped.